Agriculture began around 12,000 years ago. This marked a profound change in human history. Before agriculture, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They relied on wild plants and animals for food. This nomadic lifestyle limited their ability to settle in one place. The transition to agriculture was gradual. It likely started with people intentionally cultivating wild plants. Over time, they selected and bred plants with desirable traits. This led to the domestication of crops like wheat, barley and rice. The development of agriculture allowed humans to produce a surplus of food. This surplus supported larger populations and led to more sedentary lifestyles. It also paved the way for the development of villages and eventually cities and civilizations. The Fertile Crescent, a region in the Middle East, is considered the birthplace of agriculture. This area, encompassing parts of modern-day Iraq, Syria, Jordan and Turkey, was where many of the first crops and livestock were domesticated. The Fertile Crescent was home to a variety of wild grains and legumes. These included wild wheat, barley, lentils and peas. The region also had suitable conditions for early agriculture, with fertile soils and a favourable climate. As people in the Fertile Crescent began to cultivate these plants, they developed techniques for planting, harvesting and storing their crops. This knowledge spread to other parts of the world, influencing agricultural practices elsewhere. The domestication of animals also played a crucial role in the rise of agriculture. Sheep, goats, pigs and cattle were among the first animals to be domesticated. The transition from hunting and gathering to farming was a significant turning point in human history. This shift led to profound changes in human societies, their relationship with the environment and their way of life. Hunter-gatherers lived in small, nomadic groups. They moved with the seasons to find food and resources. Their impact on the environment was relatively minimal. Farming, on the other hand, required people to settle in one place. This led to the establishment of permanent villages and the concept of land ownership. As people became dependent on specific crops, they had to adapt to the rhythms of agriculture. The shift to agriculture also had implications for social structures. Surplus food production led to specialization of labor. Some people could focus on farming, while others could develop skills in crafts, trade or leadership. Early domesticates, grains, legumes and livestock. The first crops to be domesticated were grains and legumes. These plants were relatively easy to cultivate. They provided a reliable source of carbohydrates and protein. Wheat and barley were domesticated in the Fertile Crescent. Rice was domesticated in Asia. These grains became staple crops in many parts of the world. Legumes such as lentils, peas and chickpeas were also important early domesticates, providing essential nutrients. The domestication of animals provided additional sources of food, labor and materials. Sheep and goats were among the first livestock animals. They provided meat, milk and wool. Pigs were domesticated for their meat. Cattle were used for meat, milk and as draft animals. The domestication of these animals had a profound impact on agriculture and human societies. Centers of origin, independent agricultural revolutions. Agriculture developed independently in several parts of the world. While the Fertile Crescent is considered the earliest center of agriculture, other regions also saw the rise of farming practices. In East Asia, rice and millet were domesticated. Soybeans and pigs were also important domesticates in this region. In Mesoamerica, maize, beans and squash were domesticated. These crops became the foundation of agriculture in this region. In the Andes Mountains of South America, potatoes, quinoa and llamas were domesticated. These adaptations allowed people to thrive in high-altitude environments. In New Guinea, taro, bananas and sugarcane were cultivated. This demonstrates the diverse origins of agriculture. Ancient innovations, irrigation, plowing and crop rotation. As agriculture developed, people invented new tools and techniques to improve their farming practices. These innovations helped to increase crop yields and make agriculture more efficient. Irrigation systems, such as canals and ditches, allowed farmers to water their crops even during dry periods. This increased crop production and allowed for farming in arid regions. The plough, a tool used to turn over the soil, made it easier to plant seeds and control weeds. Early ploughs were simple, but they evolved over time to become more efficient. Crop rotation, the practice of growing different crops in the same field over time, helped to maintain soil fertility and prevent the buildup of pests and diseases. These innovations contributed to the advancement of agriculture in ancient times.